curl up on the floor, fall asleep. You find yourself sat in front of a spinning wheel with fair skin and black hair. And then there's a man come to. You're like, oh, it's father in your head. And he almost goes to leave, and you tell him to stop, and you tell him he must eat, as is your habit. You get him to eat porridge, if nothing else. And then you sit down, and you go back to weaving, and he seems to go out, and he goes to look for the dogs. He knocks on the door, and you know that that's a bad place. You shouldn't be going there, so you go over and you sort of you wave at him, no, and then you realise that you've stopped spinning, and you're torn between spinning and helping this man, and you seem to be, make a willpower check. You seem to be forced against your will almost, steps dragging you back as if caged to the spinning wheel, where you spin out golden yarn from this chest of what is some kind of golden wool or some kind of golden substance. And he storms out of the house, out of the cottage, through the door where the light looks so appealing and the outside smells so fresh, but you just don't feel like you feel too compelled to stay where you are, to leave. And you can hear some sort of steps coming around, and then he appears back at the door and he looks at you and he's like, where are my dogs?
I desperately try and once again say Father, it's Libby. You need to go. It's not safe here.
Make a willpower.
But nothing comes out. 20, not natural.
What comes out is at first garbled, and he looks at you strangely, and then you call him father, and he's like, dear girl, you are mistaken. My daughter is a golden-haired child who looks like her mother, and you look like nobody I've ever seen before, although I do miss her ever so much, and I will find her, I will rescue her, but I must have my dogs. And he turns and he starts to try and knock down the door. And you go and you try and grab his arm. Oh no! But he manages to break in, and for the first time you see what's behind the door, and it doesn't surprise you somehow, you're not shocked. It's what you expected, and it's got dead dogs hanging from hooks up in the ceiling, and piles of disgusting old, could be anything, you don't even know what kind of animals, humans,
half rags,
skin,
bones, and
it reeks of death, fetid, rotting meat. And in it, the walls are caked in thick, mucky blood from years and years of being used in this manner. The man is suddenly disgusted and shocked. He turns. You hear Magdalene coming. And he looks at her. He draws a sword, and you look at him and you sort of try to warn him to not fight with her. But then you also fear her so much that you sort of start moving away. And as she comes closer, you feel compelled, and you go over to your spinning wheel and you take off the needle, thinking that you can help father, you can help him. And he thrusts a sword, and as you come back to see, you see that Magdalene has grabbed hold of the blade itself. It doesn't cut her hand. Even to you it's a surprise, having spent time. But part of you can recall what Magdalene really is, and so you kind of start to half see the reality of her. And she snatches the blade away and pulls him forward, and she turns to you, looks at you and goes, Evelyn, my dear. And you, against your will, take that needle and plunge it into his side, and he looks at you so hurt, so devastated. He thought that you were just some innocent little girl. And inside you scream
I'm so sorry, Father! I know not what I do.
As he falls to the floor, scrambling away from her, she lunges at him, but he manages to get away, and he turns and he runs. And part of you sings for joy because you know that's possibly the only way he was going to get away at this instant. And Maudlin comes and shuts the door, and immediately the interior seems to turn to smoke, your mind turns to smoke, and you find yourself coming to in a golden cave.
Oh. I think Libby, when she comes to and wakes up, she's in tears. She's seen her father again. She was so close, and she heard him. And that look of shock on his face, you know, that he was more hurt that his trust was broken, you know, and she knows his father, and she just feels so overwhelmed by everything that's going on at the moment. I think she just wakes up and she's just blubbering in tears. She feels very overwhelmed at the moment.
She sits in a heap. Just make a willpower check a second.
Yeah, 4.
Also make a fortitude save.
16.
She's so distraught that she finds herself just in a heap blubbering. And although her body shouts at her that she needs real sleep, she's so distraught that nothing could possibly allow her to sleep. The pain in her body is the only thing that makes her feel like she's even real anymore. As she hears the smooth voice, "Well, my little bird, it's time for you to have your walkies."
Oh.
And the cage is lifted and carried and placed on the ground next to the chest. And a tiny key, make a perception check. Is used to unlock the golden door. She opens it ever so carefully, and as you step out you get bigger, and as you take a second step you find yourself to be the height you remember yourself being. As he looks at you and goes, "You may walk, my little pretty bird. I have trust in you, faith in you." And she smiles at you in a as close to warm as those cold eyes and sharp teeth get kind of a way, as if you've just done something for her that she couldn't have done without you. And she turns and she walks out and she parts the curtain and she lets it fall behind you. And you find yourself once more in this golden treasure chamber of heaps of gold, the chest and the table waiting for you to count the day away.
Is there any other sort of like easily concealable weapon that I can see apart from my sword? Can I look in a way that won't draw attention to me? Like
you're the only person in there. You can just walk around, have a look.
Yeah, but if I start scrabbling in the gold, I might alert her. Just like, you know, some sort of small blade or something. 18.
What you see as you're glancing over the gold is something that appears to be a scepter with a gemstone on top, which is clear, maybe bluey, cleary colour.
Okay.
And the scepter is sticking out, and it doesn't look like it's very big. It's maybe, you can't see it all though, you can see sort of the head of it, but it's quite slim, and it's looks like it's made out of some kind of metal. It's a silver in colour, but it might be silver, it could be steel, you're not really sure. But it has a fairly large and pointed gemstone on top, which could be used for thrusting and
bludgeoning or something like
well,
that.
the jewel is big enough that it looks like you could stab someone.
Okay, nice and pointed, sharp-ended. Okay. Well, I'm not going to remove that at all. I'm just going to clock it.
And it's not too difficult to get to. It's, if these are the heaps, it's kind of 3/4 of the way up, if that's sort of
right. Okay, yeah.
It's sort of near the top of one of the heaps.
One of the closest heaps. Okay.
So if the heaps say 12 feet tall, it's about 2 feet, 3 feet from the top.
Okay.
So it's a couple of feet out of reach. from standing. And it does slope away from you, so it's like if you wanted to get up to it, you would have to dash through some gold or attempt. I don't know. You're not sure if you could ever make it up there completely silently.
Okay.
Make a perception check.
7.
You look at it longingly. You just hear the gentle chink of coins as you occasionally walk over one or kick one to one side. Your own heart races in your ears as your mind tries to think what to do, how. There has to be a way. I'm so close yet so far.
Yeah, it's the thing is, I haven't seen the other keys. I've just seen the other threads around her neck. So I assume those are the keys. One of them for Evergreen. Does the thread around her neck look identical to the thread on which the key that she's been using to unlock the cage? It's like identical.
They look like tiny chains. Make an intelligence check a second.
12.
You noticed whilst you were looking that the chains, like when you're tiny, her hair is the chains.
Oh,
like
right,
it's the same substance, like it's almost like it grows out of her, or like her hair is it. It's like a natural part of what she is. Even to the point where you suspect that all of this gold and her gold, there must be something that binds it together.
Oh, right, okay. Like she's drawing energy from this gold? Or something?
Some kind of
There's some sort of connection or relationship between her, what she's made of and stuff, and her relationship to gold and stuff. Okay.
And also, you feel... Make a willpower check a second. Willpower.
6. 7.
Okay. You can't remember, but you're certain there's something else you should remember. You're straining to remember that that also links this stuff together. What is Libby doing?
Just trying to remember.
She sits on the floor being caught back up in the sense of devastation once again. She's not quite sure why she feels so devastated. She just feels like she's done something awful. Something that's so awful that she can't forgive herself, and so she still clings to the sense of devastation, although she can't quite remember why she feels so devastated.
No, she cannot remember. No, it does sound familiar. But no, she can't remember. Right.
She finds herself walking, checking the odd coins, sitting down, tears streaming down her face now and again for no apparent reason. She can't remember why she wants to cry anymore.
Is there any sort of like parchment that you can see? Any sort of like written word on any sort of parchment or anything like that? 12.
You can see in amongst the gold there is the odd chest, and if there's anything parchmenty, it's probably going to be contained.
Let's have a look in some of these chests.
Okay, so there. Go for it.
Okay. What am I doing?
Okay, so
15.
Sort of peering out of each of the valleys in between, there's chests. They seem to tend to be in the dips of the valleys, as if sort of they've just been chucked there haphazardly. The nearest at this point,
yeah, we'll go through that one.
Is so you glance over and you can see that the lid's part open, and at the bottom of the heap of gold there's a sort of a long, slim, almost like a fire poker,
Mhm.
just made of exotic, like made of gold or something exotic, gold or platinum maybe. You're not really sure, and you pick it up and you sort of reach over the gold in order to not run in amongst it, and just poke at the lid and sort of try and poke it open. Make a strength check.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
You managed to sort of lean over, lean over and manage to get the tip, and you flip it up and over, and it opens with a and you sort of stop and listen. You don't hear anything, and you peer in. Make a perception check.
14.
What is it you're looking for exactly?
I was looking for any sort of like parchment or book or any sort of like scribblings or daubings or any information, basically.
A lot of gold seems to have managed to fallen in, but amongst the gold there appears to be what might be a leather script or scroll case. But other than that, there's nothing obvious, because some of the coins have managed to slip through the gap which you managed to use to prop it open. Although you've also found yourself a metal rod.
Like a fire poker, basically.
Yeah, which is about the same size and heft as a short sword.
Okay. Is there any way I can sort of hook that parchment?
Yeah, it's got it is literally like a fire poke, so it's straight, and then it's got a slight back hook.
Curl on the thing. Yeah, I'd see if I can hook it and sort of get hold of that.
Make a dexterity check.
Okay. 11.
Yeah, it's not particularly difficult. You manage to sort of get it down and loop it through a bit of leather and rotate and lever it using the sort of the edge of the chest as part for levering, and then hauling it out towards you. There's a slight as some of the coins sort of fill in the space that it leaves behind, and you hoik out a very plain black leather sort of scroll case tube with a sort of loop over at the top and a sealed cap.
Let's pop that cap and have a little look inside.
Inside there is a scroll.
Could I remove the scroll?
Yeah.
Gently put that down on the floor and just unroll it and see if I can read. So
yeah. Make a perception check.
Natural 20.
Okay. You open
something
this.
I can use.
You open as you're pulling open the scroll. You are shocked to start seeing detailed drawings and descriptions of golden thread, golden chain to be weaved from certain weight of gold, which must be counted out exactly every day, and it must also be made by the hands of someone pure and innocent. And this can be used for making cages which bind people or things or beings, and also can be used for you need this thread, and the thread makes all the things, so you can manipulate the thread magically, and it gives you these just sort of arcane descriptions of how this golden thread can be used to hold people, bind people, trap people, and it seems to be a way of imbuing substance with power which can't otherwise be held. And it also mentions something at the bottom about golden skinned beings who come from the abyssal planes but are exiled. But that's a sort of footnote in it, and there's there's a lot of scribbling afterwards, and a bit of it's just sort of been blotted out and scraped away.
So they've been exiled from what planes?
Abyssal.
From
the abyss.
Okay. Is there any information about how if they're so to use this golden thread and its magical qualities to sort of like bind things and make things, is there any information to do the opposite, like to unbind things and unmake things?
At a glance, you can see that there is a lot of information to be had here, but you would need a little bit of time to actually read it properly. This is just what you glance over it, you see these drawings, you see these details, you recognise the sort of the drawings, because you glance over and the chest is the same chest as in the drawings. You glance at your cage and you can see the sort of the like hat store stand almost with all the cages hanging off it, and you can actually, and each cage seems to have a different entry, so it's quite a big long scroll. And as you kind of quickly go over it, you identify these things, and then at the bottom you see some drawing of like the face of one of the lady golden lady, and some notes about exile, and then it's been blotted out as if somebody's angry sort of blotted it and then ripped the bottom of the page off or something. What are you going to do? Because you start to feel like time is slipping you by.
Can I do a listen check behind me to see what's... Ooh,
you hear nothing. You're so busy, you're just engrossed, and you can just hear the sort of rustle of paper as you're looking very carefully.
I will fold up the paper and stick it in my breeches.
Okay.
And then close pick up the case, close it, and hook it back onto the thing, and try and place it back into the empty scroll case into the chest. 13.
You easily hook it in, and you manage to lay it on top of everything in the chest.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead of myself, so I've got this thing in my hand. I'll do another listen check quickly. 18, 90, 70, 89, 20, 22, 23 on the listen check. Is she coming?
You stop. Everything falls silent. You listen. You hear nothing in the chamber. You hear a distant drip, drip. Then you hear some muffled talking, but it's distinctly Avagrim muttering to himself about something.
Okay. I will... So how big is the chest that I'm filling?
In fact, as you listen more closely, you think it might be the distant sound of weeping. But...
Okay.
How
big is the chest that I'm filling?
The chest is only about this big.
Okay.
Oh, the chest that you're counting. Yeah, it's only about yay big. It's not very big at all.
Okay, so
and it has a sort of triangular roof, so it opens and shuts.
Okay. This pokey thing, this fire pokey thing. I'd like to kind of lift the chest up and put it underneath it, and try and hide it underneath the chest that I'm counting off the 1,000 gold and putting it into. Just so it's like underneath the chest.
You lift the chest and you feel underneath, and you feel that there is a flat bottom. There's no sort of rim under which to hide it. So you wedge it underneath, and you sort of see that the chest is slightly skew. What are you gonna
do? The table that I'm sitting at. Is there?
It has wooden sides that come down to the ground. It has a wooden bar across the bottom that links them together. So there's a wooden bar underneath with sort of pegs wedged through it to hold them in place, and then a flat wooden surface which sits on top.
Okay, so my legs can be seen from anyone on the other side of the table.
If they look.
Panically, I think I'll just sort of. So where did I get this from again? Just in a pile?
It was resting on the edge of the pile next to where you saw the chest.
I'll go and put it back from where I found it.
Okay.
Trying to put it exactly where I found it.
Do you move silent?
Yes. Not with a crit fail.
You go over and you sort of wedge it back in, and suddenly the gold shifts up above you, and it cascades down over your arm, and you sort of pull your arm free, and you're like, I'm not sure I'll be able to find that ever again. It's buried underneath the gold.
Panicked.
Looking around, you see the curtain being flung open, and a voice from the golden lady, sort of with an angry expression on her face. What are you doing? You know not to touch anything. You're allowed to walk, and walk only.
Yes, I'm sorry. There's just so much gold. It just keeps falling all over.
And now to counting with you. You may have done me a good service, but you also lost me my cottage. As I told you before, it has already happened, and it will no doubt happen again.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Now to counting with you.
Of course. And I go into the table and start counting.
You start counting. And she leaves the room, placing the golden cage carefully on the corner of the table, facing you. And she leaves you to counting. Should you just count away?
1, 2, 3.
And sometime later, she comes back in. And once again she says, "Time for bed, my little bird." And she comes and she opens the cage door. And you step up onto the table, becoming no taller than her ankle. Or that's somebody's ankle. You step into the cage. She closes the door, she locks it. Make a perception check. You're never going to make them, it's awesome. It was just never meant to be. She locks the door behind you. You can now see all of these chains, and she takes you over, and she hangs you up. Make a willpower save.
13.
Your eyes become leaden and heavy as you try to resist but find yourself falling asleep, and you find yourself in front of the wheel, spinning gold. Make an intelligence check.
8.
Okay, and you are
9.
You find yourself spinning golden thread.
Okay.
And you're sat there, and you smell the stew on the cook. The door opens after some time. The lady comes in the brown dress with the white blouse and brown shawl, followed by a man with 2 dogs, and she puts the 2 dogs into the room. And the man comes in, he looks around, he comes over. Hello there, young lady.
Oh, I say, Father, it's you again.
But what comes out is, "Hello, sir," in a very timid voice. And he is ushered away by the woman, and he's given food, and he goes to sleep. And eventually, when he goes to sleep, she ushers you off to bed, and you go to sleep, and you come to in your golden cage. Make a willpower save.
Okay, 14.
Okay. And as you come to, you think of the scroll that you have wedged in your belt, and you think, "Oh, I'm making the golden thread. I'm counting the gold."
Yeah.